Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mupo and Friends. We are,
Manuela Messina,
and I'm Michelle Mupo.
and we're brought to you by Mupo TV.
And you can catch this show and many others at www.mupotv.com. And if you want to know more about our company and if you're looking for a career, go to mupoentertainment.com. And stay tuned because our show is so rocking and we are back. And I have to say, we have some really cool guests coming on. So I have to tell you, I hope they share something with us that everyone else has shared with us that they haven't shared before out in the public. Let's see.
And this is true because on Mupo and Friends, a lot of the times these people do share something they haven't shared with anybody else before. So let's hope we can continue on that
Yeah.
streak
And
here.
you know what else, Em? We
Tell
have our
me.
very own app on Android and iOS. We're in 144 countries, and our VOD count last quarter was 1,095,000. So thanks to not only all of Mupo Entertainment, the Familia, but thanks to all of you out there who continue to watch us. Um, and we really appreciate you.
It's so true. And we want to just say, all the supporters, tell your friends that if they have not downloaded the app just yet, what are they waiting for, right?
I know. And we have a not only are we on Roku and Fire Stick, but you have to go to Mupo Entertainment to get to it, but we have a gala coming out.
This is true. July, already a few months away.
Second annual.
Second annual gala. So there are still some tickets available. If you're thinking about it, jump on it. We have a few spots left, but it is happening this July, the Mupo Gala number 2 already.
Yeah, so just out of your words, your own words, last
Mm.
year's gala, was it anything that you expected? Because people thought we were doing it for like years upon years.
You know what? It turned out to be absolutely amazing. I would say it kind of did go and exceed my own expectations of everything and how it transpired. And everybody had an amazing time and just really were present and enjoyed themselves while they were there. And I'm looking forward to having that happen again this year on a much bigger scale. And you know what? Again, guys, if you have not gotten your tickets, there are still some available. Just go to www.mupotv.com to get your tickets today.
That's right. And we're going to take a quick commercial break and we will be right back with our special guest.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mupo and Friends. This is a special interview where we dive deep into the creative minds behind the upcoming LGBTQ plus film regarding us that's already making waves. Today, we are joined by an incredible trio of talent who have brought this timely story to life.
First, we have a multifaceted artist who wears many hats as a co-writer, co-director, and actor in this project. His vision and dedication have been instrumental in shaping this narrative that explores themes of identity, acceptance, and the transformative power of compassion.
Next, we are thrilled to have the lead actress whose compelling performance anchors the film. She brings a depth and authenticity to her role as a transgender woman navigating the complexities of life after losing her teaching career in the Catholic school system. Her portrayal is both heart-wrenching and inspiring, offering a voice to many whose stories are often left untold.
Joining us also is a brilliant co-writer, co-director, who has crafted a story that is as thought-provoking as it is moving. Together, they have created a film that not only entertains, but challenges societal norms and encourages conversations around love, family, and acceptance. Please welcome David Beck, Alexandra Gray, and Jennifer Bobbi. Hello, everyone. So we are very excited to have you all on this. I feel like it's a movement. And honestly, I want to know what makes Regarding Us relevant and why this film now?
Well, what inspired this film was actually pieces of Jennifer's life, my co-writer, and also my life. And I started writing because I was just so tired of the lack of representation in the LGBTQIA community. And obviously, there's more of that now, but often it's not authentic or not accurate. And I'm so proud of Regarding Us, and I hope everyone sees it because we really, it's an LGBTQ film, obviously, but I fail to think of an American LGBTQ film that a teenager can watch and be moved by and get something out of. And also they can watch it with their 40-year-old parent and they can also be moved by it, and also like their 70-year-old aunt or grandparent and they can also be moved by it. So I think that this film, families can watch together, parents can watch with their kids, and they can all be entertained and moved by it. And I think that's very rare in LGBTQ movies today. So I think that's why it's relevant. I mean, obviously, just turn on the news and trans rights are being rolled back drastically, and we're taught to fear trans people, and we're all people. We're all in this together. I am not religious. I don't have a religious I mean, I was raised Catholic, but if I do have one spiritual belief, it's that, what happens to one of us happens to all of us. We're all in this together, and Regarding Us, explores that domino effect of like what happens to this person in our society affects the whole community, really. I mean, there's not one character in this film that is not profoundly changed by the end. And it all begins with Veronica Hathaway, played so beautifully by Alexandra Gray, who is, starts off the film as a Catholic school teacher. And in the beginning, she's outed for being trans. And of course, she's immediately fired by the archdiocese. Um, and this has happened in our news with trans women, with gay men, um, with gay women, and it happens all the time, every month in an archdiocese. And it seems like certain areas of this country are becoming more and more closed-minded and less accepting of human beings. And again, we're all in this together. We all bleed, we all cry, we all laugh, and that's what this movie's about.
Okay. Well, from my perspective, for so long, I think transgender people were depicted in films and in the media as either villains or the butt of a joke. And it was important to me when David and I were sitting down writing this that Veronica be a person who has a spiritual belief and has a job and takes care of herself. That transgender people come in all different shapes and sizes and walks of life, and there are some that are spiritual, there are some that are not spiritual. But I wanted to make sure that we represented someone who had faith and who was, like so many of us, out there working and making a living and trying to make her hopes and dreams come true. And I think that's true also of the other characters in the film, where I wanted to make sure that this was a film that children could watch, that parents could watch, and that they could learn something from seeing the lives of the people that come together in this film.
Yeah, I pretty much just to second what both of them said. I think it's the film is important right now. I think because I think we need healing. I think that there's a lot going on in the world, and I think there's obviously this obsession with like genre films right now. Everybody wants a horror, or they want sci-fi. And, this is a good old family drama, with a little bit of, with some lightheart, with some joy in there, some joy, some funny, and I think that people just need to feel good right now. And I think that trans folks need to see themselves, right? And even though Veronica has a journey in this that it is hard at times, it's painful at times, there's trauma there. There is a lot of joy that she finds in these relationships that she comes across through the other people in the film. And so I just think it's a good time for it. And I think we need a lot of healing with everything that's going on in the world. And so, my hope is that it will get out there to the world. With indie filmmaking, it's extremely challenging. The way the market is now, it's extremely challenging to get anything sold right now. But I am hoping that it finds its way through so that the world can see it, because they need to see more of our stories. So yeah.
And how did you two meet, and what was the chemistry like together when you were writing the script? Did you agree, disagree?
Can I start with that, David?
Take it away.
So, yeah, I actually transitioned. I started to transition late in life. So, when I began my transition, prior to my transition, I was pretty well known in the world of drag. I was the top selling Tupperware saleswoman in North America for 8 years. And I did that by performing a drag show. And when I began to transition, my business tapered off because I guess people found a man dressing as a woman funny, and not a person who's transgender. So I went out and I was auditioning for parts. And I saw this audition for a web series for a character that was pretty rough and gruff. And I came from the world of comedy, and I thought I could play this woman. She was a woman in recovery. She was a woman who was going through AA, and she meets others in this AA setting, and she kind of sets everyone off a little bit with her honesty. So I auditioned for this part, and I met David. David was the writer and director, and immediately I just felt this bond with him, and he cast me, and then we became friends, and then we became writing partners.
That's beautiful. Go
Yeah.
ahead, David. I got to hear your story now.
Oh, I mean, that's exactly right. I didn't know Jennifer at all when she auditioned for me. That was in 2016, the summer of 2016. And my producer brought her in. And, I had never heard of Aunt Barbara. He was like, "Oh, she's Aunt Barbara." And I was like, "Who?" I'm like, "I don't know who Aunt Barbara is." And, and then she came and she auditioned, and she just, she broke my heart. She just really understood, my writing, I think. And she understood like the innate, I mean, obviously Jennifer is the funniest person I've ever met. And so she brought her humor to it. And I always, want things to be, I mean, I'm a very dramatic writer, and I'm all about the gravitas and the story and the meat, but I also think that things should be funny. I think that we find our answers through humor a lot of times. I think that's the best medicine, and she just innately understands that. And so I knew that I wanted my next project to be, focused on her. And the more I got to know Jennifer, I think ABC was doing a documentary, and you came to one of my open mics at the 13th Street Repertory Theater, and they followed you there. She had like a little film crew following her. And the more I got to know her, I was like, wow, it's your story that I want to write about. And then I remember I was in Europe summer of 2017, and I called her, I FaceTimed her, and I said, I wrote a little short film, that I want you to be in. And it was called Backup Plan. And it actually became the inspiration for this feature regarding us. So it's been a long time coming. And, many kitchen table writing sessions and arguments. And I mean, we don't really argue about
We
anything.
don't argue too much.
No, we don't argue. I mean, obviously we have disagreements, but I think that we're both so different You know, I mean, we're from different generations, sorry, but
I'm much younger.
yes. And you know, Jennifer really brings, you know, the humor and the life to it, and I kind of structure. And you know, I come from a, you know, I mean, we both come from the theater, right? So we have that in I mean, we have so much in common, but I think we have different strengths as writers. Um, and so we complement each other in that way. And our mission of, you know, telling LGBTQ stories with a comedic twist to it. I think that, you know, that's what we have in common, and that's what we share. So yeah.
Was there a time when filming where you really struggled in making this because of it being so personal?
No, not, I mean, we struggled in financing it. I mean, we had to delay it a whole year. That was the main struggle. But I mean, I've never shied away from personal stories. I mean, I'm pretty much an open book. You know, I think that, you know, like use people's lives, you know, for art. I'm all about that. I don't know if Jennifer.
Well, I think the actors that were cast are just so wonderful. We have such a great cast, and everyone brought their own individual piece to it, and that was what was so wonderful to see that work. You know, our writing and seeing it come alive with the cast of actors that we had. Who were able to do that and kind of make it their own. There were moments in there where I was, you know, triggered. There's a scene where Veronica leaves a message for her father, and that's right from my life. So that affected me quite a bit.
And producing an independent film is no small task. How was Regarding Us funded?
It was mainly funded through private investors. I I only knew one prior to making this film, who had been supportive of my nonprofit work. Um, but everyone else I met sort of randomly, just through sending, you know, the pitch deck, emailing blindly, you know. Thankfully, there are a lot of LGBTQ philanthropists and people out there. I mean, we met some amazing, fantastic people. Martine Rothblatt, who we all know, is a big supporter, and Chuck Forster, who's a queer publisher out in California. Andy Tobias, who used to work for the Democratic National Convention. Dr. Marcy Bowers, who is a trans reassignment surgeon, the only trans person to also do reassignment surgery. And she's just, all these people are just so inspiring to me. And it's just been such an unexpected blessing just getting to know all these people who have invested in our movie.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and then the rest has been just small dollar donations through our fiscal sponsor, the Great Griffin, which is Jennifer and I, our nonprofit film company. Um, so yeah.
Love that. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back to Mupo and Friends. And we were just talking a little bit behind the scenes here about just understanding about you guys and how it works, and educating people who don't understand. And what do you guys usually tell or share when people are kind of not sure how to be or react, or, you know, just be natural kind of thing? Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, I mean, if you've met a transgender woman, I'm a transgender, you've met exactly one transgender woman. So I can't speak for everyone. Um, but in my experience, I think people are people who don't understand if it hasn't been part of their life experience. It's easier to go the fear route and easier to kind of embrace ignorance because, you know, a lot of people say, I'm afraid of things I don't understand, therefore I want to know nothing about them. But people who get to know me typically will say, oh, I had no idea. And that's the thing. I'm a person first and who happens to be transgender, but I'm a person. So that's the way that I conduct myself every day. And it can be challenging sometimes.
And I think it's okay to ask questions if you're not sure, respectfully, right? Like
Well,
that's
you know,
thing.
being misgendered, often when I'm misgendered, if it's intentional and it comes from a place of hurt, then I get a little, you know, snippy. Um, but if it comes from a place of ignorance or a place, and by ignorance I mean not understanding and not knowing, that's a little bit different. Or if it's just a mistake, it's fine. For myself, I'm not the pronoun police. However, I will correct you and we'll stop and move forward.
I love it. So with the characters in Regarding Us, they're very specific. What was the casting process like? Because it must have been hard picking and choosing who's going to do what.
Well, the
Well,
character, yeah.
I was just going to say Alexandra, you know, fits in so well and blew us away. So that goes without saying, you know, that
Oh, I
was
saw the
wonderful.
trailer. Yes, I saw it 4
That's
times. I
wonderful.
watched it. I was just like in shock. Though I had to watch it over and over. I'm like so excited to see this.
I left the children to David. I'm not a children person.
Yeah, I have to say we were so lucky to get the cast, you know, led by Alexandra Gray. Um, and you know, Alexandra, I'm going to talk about you a little bit. But you know, I had never heard of Alexandra, but then when our casting director sent us like a list of actors to play Veronica, you know, she was the first actor we attached to the project, and I just I I fell in love with her real and her body of work. I mean, she's done so much TV, like I had no idea. And then I was a huge fan of How to Get Away with Murder, so I definitely remember you from that. Your guest appearance there blew me away. She goes head to head with Viola Davis. I mean, who's like, you know, our greatest actress of, you know,
Yes.
the generation right now. And so I was just so excited when she said yes to our film, and I said, okay, this film, you know, it'll be something now. Because you know, because it's a tricky role, you know, because to cast someone with such versatility, who I mean, she goes through so many different stages in this film, but who could also believably play a Catholic school teacher. That's a very tricky role, and it's just so funny because the things that you think are going to be tricky end up being like you don't have to worry about, you know, and that's the thing with film. But they're all such specific roles, you know. The guy who played Adrian Eliud Garcia Kaufman, another brilliant actor, and he just auditioned for us, and he blew us away. And Jennifer was like, "You have to cast Eliud," and I said, "Okay, let's do it. Let's go with it." And it's so funny because, you know, as writers, we have this idea of what the kind of the characters look like and sound like in our mind. And what a good actor does is they go and they just sort of blast your brain open, you know, and they just exceed your any expectations you have of the character. And they just, you know, they own the character and they make it, you know, something that you couldn't even imagine as a writer. So and that's what the kid actors did too. I mean, these are some complex, challenging roles that these kids play, and they all do it with such grace and aplomb. And it was Andrea Rosa Guzman is our lead actress who plays Isabel, and uh, it was her first film. She's done some voiceover for Disney and other projects, but she had never been on screen before. So we had because our movie was delayed a year because we lost some funding. I had a little bit of time to get to know her and her family, and we had some rehearsals, one-on-one coaching. So that was really helpful. And yeah, I couldn't be happy with the cast.
I think it's important to note when we talk about how the movie was delayed. So when we were supposed to shoot in 2022, we were 5 days away from shooting.
12 days.
Meaning, well, 5 days from when I was supposed to travel out.
Oh.
So I remember that, and so that's just so people are aware of like how hard indie filmmaking is. I mean, I'm also working on my feature, and financing is just extremely difficult. And I remember, whenever you do films or you do musicals, there's always a prep process, right? As the actor, there's always the process of learning the lines and studying the material. So, 5 days before, I was in character, I was ready to go. And so it was devastating to then be like, stop, full stop, and then you just don't know at that point. So just to David's point, but I think in terms of characters, if I can speak from the other aspect of it, is, at the time that this script came, I have done a lot of TV work. Obviously we were going through a pandemic, and then I started to get offers to do indie films, and this one came. I think I had like 3 films already that I was like slated to do, and this one came. And out of all of those, this one was very different, and it was different because even though there's the common thread of the other storylines, we went through a little bit of a name change on this movie, but I think it's because of this line of other stories happening. But what I appreciated about the Veronica was that this really felt like an intimate portrait of Veronica. It was the first film I've done out of 6 films that it really felt like we honored her story. It was a character arc that people, when they watch it, they'll see it from start to finish. She has an entire journey, which I can't say that I've had before in a movie, because I think people want diversity. I think people want the trans storyline, but I don't think they want to honor that and what that means. And it doesn't mean just putting a little button on it and putting it in there for the pop to say, oh, we have a trans movie. It's to really honor it. And so in terms of just doing the work on set, I think it was very challenging because I had to really tell a full story. I had to go through many wardrobe changes. I had to do hair changes, and it was a really great experience that I just think trans stories need. And so I think that that was really, really cool. And the other actors are fantastic. I think we had a great group of people. Some of it was challenging, but what I appreciate about these two is that, listen, I'm Black. I'm Black. I'm trans. I have a certain set of experiences that are very different. And I appreciate that it felt very collaborative, that they allowed me to bring my story as well to the character. And I felt like we really collaborated on a lot of things. I know that phone call scene, I think we just ad-libbed. They wrote it in and it's from Jennifer's real life. But then I think it was like, let's just go with it. Let's just roll on it. And I just was talking to my dad, and thinking of the family that I don't have, So yeah, there's powerful moments there that I just think is really great.
Oh, I want to know a little bit more about working with the kids, and did you learn anything from them through this process?
I love working with kids. I love working with child actors. I know everyone always says don't work with kids, but I don't, I like to break the rules. For my survival job, I'm a piano teacher and I play for ballet classes and I work with kids all over Manhattan. And I've always loved kids. And I think that, kids bring a certain vitality to a set. I think that they keep everyone on their toes. I think that people are a little nicer when kids are around. And I think that people, really put their best foot forward when kids are there. Now 30 kids in a classroom, I don't know. That's a bit much. That was a bit overwhelming. You know, the thing with kids is that they're so game for anything. Like you tell them something and they immediately understand it. They're so intuitive and their imagination is just so huge and they're unfiltered. And the older we get, the more aware we are of our persona and the world around us. And sometimes that can work to our detriment as actors. But kids are just so free, and I find that inspiring.
Watched the trailer literally maybe more than 4 times. I just kept watching it and watching it, and I was just like, the vision that I seen just from the trailer was like, this can be, I don't know if you've watched The Fosters, but this could blow that away. Like you guys really are, I mean, I feel you guys should do some type of TV series with this as well. I don't know, is that what you're gonna do, or is that, because I think you should.
Well, we're writing a television series now. We've actually written the pilot and have our episode concepts for something completely different, but it does involve children.
Yes, and it's based on Jennifer's character that she created, Aunt Barbara. It's funny that you say that because actually I think we did write a pilot, a 60-minute pilot.
Yes, that's before it was a film, it was a pilot.
A pilot. And after the short film, and we wrote a story Bible and we had all these different characters and I mean, I think we saw like Veronica in the Catholic school system more and we saw Adrian go off and I think he was having a midlife crisis and he was on drugs and having group sex and like we saw all of these things that are sort of like still in the movie but you just don't see them, but yeah, I mean, I think that, listen, these days I think anything can be developed into a series, but I think that it stands on its own as a feature film, and I think it's nice that you can go and be affected in this 90-minute time period. I think it tells a complete full circle story, which I love. Yeah, but I'm excited about our next TV project. Can I tell them the title or no?
Sure.
Time Out with Aunt Barbara.
Oh, thanks.
It's an adult comedy inside children's programming.
I love it.
Yeah, it's like Strangers with Candy meets Mr.
Romper Room.
Romper Room.
Romper Room.
Before my time.
Yes.
And so what are your hopes for the audiences who watch regarding this?
Well, from my perspective, again, I would like people to see a nice snapshot of people and challenges that people have who are in the community, the LGBTQ plus community in some way, and those that support them and those that interact with them. And I think it's just a great snapshot of that. But just to know that our problems and our lives are really not that much different than your problems and your lives, it's all relevant.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think that there are characters in this film that probably a lot of people have never seen before. Um, the audience we want to see this film, and I just think that if we can change just one heart, I think that's we've done our job. Obviously we want to change a lot more, and have a lot more people see it. But I already know, like, to me, like, we've already won. I've said this before, but people have come up to me even when we were filming on set. We had a lot of background artists, kid background artists, and parents would come up to me and they would just say, thank you so much for making this film. And then they would tell me a story about their own personal lives. And crew members have come up to me and thanked me too. And and that just means so much to me. And that gives me the confidence and the assurance that knowing that we are on the right track and we are doing, a good thing with bringing this movie out into the world. It's a good thing that this movie lives. So I hope that it just reaches an audience and is able to to do more good things.
Yeah, I guess I would just say, I think compassion. Just I think I want people to take away that that it's okay to exist in a world where others are different from you, and that that's okay. So I think overall, I want people to be entertained. I don't want trans people or trans stories to always have to be the thing to like convince someone to not be you know a transphobic whatever. Like, I want people to be entertained because that's what this is as well. But also, I hope that people just take away. I always want from any of my projects. I think it's why I love drama is that I know how I've been affected when I've watched things that are about Black people, and I'm a Black person. And I know the power that drama has to really touch people's hearts. And so I can only hope that with this project that people walk away feeling like they want to get to know a trans person, and walk away feeling like I want to go out of my way to protect trans people. That's the way I felt when I watched movies like Detroit, which is about, Black teenagers in the 1960s being brutalized. Like, I was like, I had so much compassion and wanted to just do whatever I could. And so I hope that people walk away wanting to make a change and wanting to make a difference to society. So,
I
yeah.
got goosebumps, I'm telling you. Just by you saying that, just it alleviates a lot because people just really don't get it. They don't get life, and I think this will wake them up. And we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with our special guests. Back. So I want to know first, what celebrities do you hope that are going to watch this and support you? Because you're all celebrities. So are you going to bring all your friends in on this to the screening?
Oh, with celebrities or with
Yeah, like who? So for instance,
I mean, first of all, I hope anyone who has an interest in this film, comes to see it. Obviously, I hope LGBTQ celebrities see it. But I also hope that straight allies see it, more importantly, because I think that they need to see it more. Um, you know, I think that this movie, in a way, is made for, uh, the mainstream, quote unquote, community, straight people. And I think that they'll get a lot out of it, and they'll learn. And to that extent, if you ask the average person in the United States if they've ever met a trans person or if that they know personally a trans person, they'll say no. But of course, on the media, like, every other day, there's a story about trans people, usually not a positive one. They're usually not shown in a positive light. And so that's why it's so paramount that in movies and media, we have a positive representation of the trans community. That's why I love this character, Veronica, played by Alexandra. She's an educated, person, college educated, person of faith, which, you never see, um, yeah.
Well, I
And a
hope
teacher of children,
What's
yeah,
that?
I
A teacher
hope
of
too that
children.
in terms of celebrities or people you want to see, I just hope that wherever this lands, which I think it's going to land somewhere very soon in terms of a festival, um, I'm just hoping that people show up and that someone buys it. That like that just the reality is that we need someone to buy it. You need a Amazon or a Netflix or a A24 or any of these companies to buy the film and give us a limited release, a theatrical release, and get the movie out to the world. Unfortunately, the reality with some indies is that it's hard to make sales, and then it just goes to video on demand and you just tell your friends to watch it. So I'm hoping that with this, in terms of celebrity or any influence or anything like that, I'm just hoping that we're able to get it to executives and to streamers that can promote it and give this movie a chance and take a chance on it. And so that would be really my hope more than anything is to get the movie sold and distributed and put out to the world. Yeah.
And
So if they're watching this, like, give us a distribution deal.
Yeah, you're here. Yeah, because it's like obviously, we're proud of the movie, and the movie, making the movie itself is a reward. But if nobody sees the movie, you know, then that would be
But you
sad.
still would have done your part. I like what you said, that you still have done well, right?
Yeah.
Because a part of why we do this is not to win the Oscar, it's not to win an Emmy or the awards. All that stuff is really nice and it's validating, and it can 100% continue to elevate our careers, which we all hope. So let's hopefully get an Oscar. But at the end of the day, if it touched one person, right, then you did a great job. Then you all told a story that was necessary. If some trans person in the middle of Midwest of America is going through hell right now, and they saw themselves in these characters, then we did good, and that's enough to be proud. I try not to measure my success by the things that I get or the achievement, because I've learned early on that 30 shows later, I don't feel like a superstar yet. I know in my heart that I'm one, but you know what I mean? So to me, I've had to learn to measure the success of my success in a much different way. So I think we're already successful because we came together as creatives and did a project about something that meant something, and it's going to mean something to somebody. So
Amen.
I was going to say amen too, but can we get a hallelujah?
Hallelujah.
In the movie.
You just got to watch this movie. Everybody's just got to see this.
And so you guys touched upon before that this movie has been years in the making. Can you guys describe a little bit about the evolution of it from like the first draft to the final cut?
Well, we started out from the short film that had a limited release and some film festivals. From that was kind of the springboard where we sat down and we started writing what we thought would be a series that later turned into the film. That was over the course of several years, and then even through the pandemic, right, David? All those little kitchen table sittings and me fixing lunch and coffee and us just him typing away and the two of us just bantering back and forth with it.
Yeah, I think our original plan was to do like to film it in 2020 or 2021. And then
Yeah.
of course the pandemic happened. Um and I remember we had a verbal agreement with our first investor a week before. I had a meeting with him in Sausalito, California, a week before the pandemic hit in 2020, and I was all excited. And then, of course, I was like, well, not meant to happen right now. And then I sort of like moved on to other things. Um, and then what happened in the middle of the pandemic was my 11th grade English teacher. I went to Catholic school for 13 years. He was, gay. Everyone always knew he was gay, even, when I was there in 2000. And and he was fired for supposedly being married to a man in 2020 after over 20 years of teaching there, which was crazy. And so, like, that for me was a sign that I was like, okay, we have to make this movie. I mean, like, life imitates art in so many ways, and it's just that was just one of those things where it was like, okay, this is the path that I need to focus. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't know how many drafts of the script we had. I mean, probably, 20 maybe. I don't know. But so many drafts. But that's common in filmmaking. I mean, you're changing, I mean, we made edits, we
The
were
day of.
yeah, the day of cutting lines, adding lines, switching things. Because the actors, once you get the actors, they bring their own sense of it, and film is so much about truth and reality and who, like, the essence of who those actors are. It's not like a play where it's like the Bible. I know a lot of playwrights who are very precious with their words, but filmmaking is a totally different beast. And it's like, and then the editing room, the lines are cut, things are moved around here and there. And yeah, so it's always a process. You always, every day it's like, how can we make this moment a little better? How can we make it, tell the story to the best of our abilities? So yeah, so it's a process.
I like that. That's the takeaway. It's a process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're writing a script and you're writing together, so there are people that are very controlling and they want to just say, oh no, we have to do it this way. Were any of you like that? Were
David, I wasn't like that, was I? Um,
No.
I
you
love
know, and because we come from two different generations, and I come from more of a place of comedy, and really, sorry, David, but I come from a place of comedy and kind of real life. A little, well, a little street
I
smart.
come from the clouds.
I've been around the block, and I think David comes from this theatrical place, where he brings so much beauty and depth to a lot of the work, and I think I tend to sort of bring some of that back to reality a little bit. So there's a yin and yang that happens there. But no, I think we do wonderful work together.
I agree. I no, that's totally true. Yeah. Like I sort of have my head in the clouds and I'm like, let's make art and beauty. And then Jennifer is the more pragmatic one, if you can believe it or not, out of the two of us.
you seem very easygoing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as a director, it's sometimes that can create a bit of pandemonium because I do, I've been on sets as an actor where I felt like it's a dictatorship, and where you're like afraid to breathe, and where no one is having fun. And so I want to kind of, create a democratic feel on set. I want everyone to feel like that they have a voice. And as Alexandra said, it's a collaboration, not, there's not, the director just doesn't make the movie, it's everyone. But yeah, I'm learning to kind of be more assertive as well, because I think that is, sometimes you got to lay down the law with some people. So I do appreciate and honor my easygoingness, I guess, but I'm learning to you know, the buck stops with you, as the director.
We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with our special guest in the conclusion of our interview. And we're back with Mupo and Friends. And this episode, I swear, is probably by far the most educated. I'll tell you that much. But what is on the horizon? Like, what type of projects do you have coming out in the future? Because I think I'm going to follow you all.
Awesome. Well, as Jennifer and I mentioned, we have a TV series that we're pitching. We have the pilot written, and we have a story Bible and a pitch deck. So if any investors or executives are interested, give us a ring. It's called Time Out with Aunt Barbara, based on Jennifer's character. And yeah, it's a hilarious comedy about a faded child star who is getting back in the ring after she becomes a widow in middle age. So and that's that. And I also have a film. It's actually a balletic thriller. I'm collaborating with choreographer Pontus Lidberg from Sweden, who is just one of the top choreographers in the world in ballet. He's a Guggenheim Fellow. And it's about the last few days of the composer Tchaikovsky. It's a balletic thriller, and it's really exciting. So those are the two projects I'm working on.
Nice. Well, I just wrapped a Netflix filmmaking program, trans-led filmmaking program, and I am now in pre-production on a short film of mine called Grace, which is about a Black trans girl in 1986 who has this unwavering dream to reach superstardom. And we're shooting top of next month in LA. And yeah, so that's where I've been putting most of my focus, and I'm working on a feature of mine, which is a Black trans love story set in the Deep South, is how I'm billing it. And so yeah, we are still in development of that. And I am working on a medical show. I am developing a medical show um, um, with a production company right now. So that's pretty much what I got going on.
I read the screenplay of her love story, and it's absolutely beautiful and heartbreaking.
Oh,
So I can't wait to see
you. Thank you. Yeah, I gotta maybe I'll get lucky. So maybe I'll find some private investors.
it.
You got to
So we'll
take the
see.
maybe completely out. You got this.
I got this. Thank you. I receive it.
Well, what am I working? Let's see. I have my weekly Facebook show that I do as Aunt Barbara. I'm selling Tupperware. David and I are working on our show, Time Out with Aunt Barbara, and hopefully coming up with more episodes. We have our story Bible and all that. We're pitching that out there. And then I'm developing a one-woman show. Well, it's the Aunt Barbara one. It's a one-woman show, but it's an ensemble. And that'll play cabaret in New York City. So that I don't have any specifics that I want to share just yet, but that'll be hitting in the fall.
Well, I'll be there on that one.
Awesome.
Every Saturday night, right, Jen? Every Saturday night.
Just about, except for tonight. Yeah, just about every Saturday I do a live Facebook feed, and I have a great group of followers that tune in each week.
What is your handle on Facebook?
Well, it's Aunt Barbara, but Facebook took my name away. Thank you, Facebook.
Why?
Well, Joe, I don't even want to get into it. So it's Jennifer Bobbi Suhan. If you look up Aunt Barbara, I should come up.
Yeah, just search for Aunt Barbara.
Search for Aunt Barbara. You'll see my face.
Barbara.
Yeah.
And before we wrap things up, one last question. What has been the biggest lesson you've learned from being in the entertainment industry for so long?
Well, I was just telling someone this yesterday. I went to a wine tasting for one of my friends who's an actor. And we were talking about how working in this industry, it's sort of like an abusive relationship. It's really just, there's a lot of positive. I think that we all love the art and the creative, but it is show business, and the business aspect of it is really, really challenging. And so what I've learned most importantly is that you cannot make this business your everything. You can love it. It can be your passion, but you have got to make sure that you are doing self-care, that you know your worth, that you are invested in other things in life, that you have a life outside of being a filmmaker, outside of being an actor, because it doesn't happen for everyone, and it can really eat you up. And I think for a lot of years, and I'm still working through therapy, to heal from a lot of the trauma that I've experienced working in the business at such a young age. And so I would say I've learned to always value my worth, and to never measure that by how many gigs I can get, or by whether or not a casting person or a producer or a showrunner or a network can see my worth as a talent, can see me as a woman, can see me as a Black woman. I no longer want to give that power away. So that's hence why I am filmmaking, why I'm producing, why I'm writing, because I want to be in control of telling my own narrative. And that has made me a much happier, healthier person. And so that would be the lesson that I would give to anybody working in this business.
Great.
I like that.
That's
I like
good.
it. And, coming from a place of that, it is work. It's a job. It's, and for myself at this stage in my life, if it's not something I want to do, I'm not going to do it. If it's not fun and it doesn't bring me enjoyment and challenge me, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And I would just add to that, like, you have to love it. You have to love the work and the process, because that's what it's all about. If you're going into this business because you think you're going to be famous or to make lots of money, then
go on TikTok.
Yeah, go on TikTok or become an investment banker. You'll make loads of money, Yeah, you have to love it. And what I learned personally is to not compare myself to other people, because this is the Wild West, this business. You don't know what's going to get picked up. You don't know who's going to, blow up and make it, quote unquote. And it's frustrating at times, because you see people who maybe on TV, and you see friends and you're happy for them, but then you see other people and you're like, how did that person get this? They're mediocre talent, and that's the thing about acting. It's such an elusive art form. It's like the biggest movie stars we have didn't go to school for. They have no training. So it's crazy. So it's like, don't compare myself to those people, you know? I only compare myself to me because it's the only life I have. And am I doing better than last year, you know? Um,
I love actors because when we get to talking SHI, you know what? Like it's just
oh,
so funny because it's the reality that Hollywood is not a meritocracy. You don't. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. Listen, if you're resilient and you work as hard as you can and you keep going, you still might not make it, but that's okay. But if you do the work, then you never know when your time will come. But the reality is that you can't compare yourself to people because it doesn't matter, right? We already know that. The
Exactly.
best thing that you can do is to do it yourself, which is what both of these talented individuals have done by writing the story and then giving an opportunity to a marginalized, underrepresented voice, a Black trans woman on the big screen. You know, it hasn't happened yet. We need that that picture. We need that film that highlights a Black trans woman in mainstream. And so we're hoping that with Regarding Us, that's what this does.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I've learned so much myself, and I just want to make sure that you guys keep an eye open and watch Regarding Us. At the LGBTQ plus film is premiering at Dances with Films Festival in Los Angeles on June 20th to the 30th, and I believe it is the 27th that yours is being aired, correct?
yes, June 27th at 7 p.m. at the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles.
Awesome.
And as always, thank you for tuning into Mupo and Friends, courtesy of Mupo TV. And you could catch this show and many others at www.mupotv.com. That's www.mupotv.com. You could also catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, and make sure that you download our app on Android and iOS. We're in 144 countries now with a VOD of 1,095,000. And we are looking so forward to seeing you at the second annual Mupo Gala Entertainment Awards.
And this is Emanuela Messina with our host, Michelle Mupo. And until next time,
Have a Mupo awesome week.